Hello there. Hi, it's Dustin Zarni, and welcome to Commissioner in a Car. Today is Tuesday, and it is January 5th. And I forgot the date there for a second. I'm a little late today, about 4 hours late. Sorry about that. I was supposed to do this at noon, but a lot of phone calls came into my office, and I was dealing with a lot of that, and I wanted to get all of that done, but here I am now, and I wanted to do our 2021 preview. This is the big preview for our upcoming elections here in 2021. We have turned the page here in Onondaga County. We are no longer looking back at the 2020 election, and we are on track and focused on these big 2021 local elections. So, what are they? Well, every year there's an election. I think a lot of people don't remember that. And I think those of us that are political junkies forget that. That every year there is an election. And in the odd years in New York State, for the most part, in almost every county, the odd years are your big local elections. They are your local town offices and not the state offices like Assembly, Senate, and all these other things. So that are usually coming up in even years. So what do we have going on in 2021? Well, all 17 county legislators are up. County legislators have been in the news quite a bit over the last year. And if you were mad or happy about all of the decisions made, this is the year to show your gratitude or your contentment, because all 17 county legislators throughout Onondaga County are up this year. There are currently 6 Democratic county legislators and 11 Republicans. Democrats need 3 of those seats to flip to take majority for the first time ever in Onondaga County, and I think we are going to really push hard for that. Hey, look, I'm a Democrat, so I'm not a nonpartisan elections commissioner. I'm a bipartisan elections commissioner, and I've always supported all Democrats for office, and I'll be supporting all Democrats for office again this year. And yes, the county legislature is one of them. Of course, in the city of Syracuse, we have the mayor's office is up. And here is one where we have a office being held by a non-Democrat, current mayor Ben Walsh. And there are Democrats looking to run for that position. 2 Democrats have already announced, Michael Green and Khalid Bey. I'm not going to go over all of the announced candidates in most of the races because that is still taking shape. But I will talk about the offices that are up because there is still time for those of you who are thinking about running to consider running in the different offices. So city court judge is up. That made the news recently. The Judge Roy McMahon moved up to the Supreme Court, leaving an opening for city court judge. Mayor Walsh put in a replacement, but she only runs for this year. She has to run for a full 10-year term, and that is up this November. David, I will get to the what new changes in New York State election law later, next episode, because I'm focusing on the 2021 races. President of the Common Council is up, Helen Hudson, for the city of Syracuse. That position is up. Councilors at large, Khalid Bey and Timothy Rudd, are up now. Those seats are held now by Khalid Bey and Ronnie White. Now Ronnie White was put in by the council to succeed Tim Rudd when he went to the budget office, and Khalid Bey is not running for re-election because he's running for mayor. So these are seats that are up this year, both councilor at larges. In commissioners of education, the seats held by Derek Dorsey, Pat Bodie, and David Cecil are up. I'll be honest, I'm not sure if they're running or not yet again. I don't know, and we won't know for a little while, and I'll go over that in a little bit. And all 5 district councilors There's a Republican district councilor, Joe Carney, and 4 Democratic councilors, and that's in District 1, and 4 Democratic councilors, Patrick Hogan in 2, Chol Majok in 3, Latoya Allen in 4, and Joe Driscoll in 5. I believe all of them are running again. And then, of course, we have the town offices. Every town has a supervisor, and every supervisor is up except for the town of Tully and the town of Lysander. Their supervisors are on 4-year terms, whereas the others are either on 4-year terms and up this year or on 2-year terms. In Camillus, the supervisor position is up. The clerk position is up. 6 ward counselors are up. They don't have an at-large system in Camillus. You run by ward. And highway superintendent is up. I believe all of those people are Republicans. So and Camillus is very close to becoming a Democratic town. Has done very well in the past elections. So I think there's some opportunities there. In Cicero, the supervisor position is up. The clerk position is up. 2 counselors are up. There is 1 Democrat there, Judy Boyke. And highway superintendent is up. And the receivers of taxes is up. All of the rest of those are Republicans. So opportunities for Democrats there. In Clay, the supervisor is up. The clerk is up. All three different counselors are up. And the receiver of taxes is up. All Republicans. All opportunities for Democrats to run in Clay. Clay has a Democratic plurality and has performed very well in the past elections, especially for Joe Biden and the state Senate races there. In DeWitt, the Democratic town of DeWitt, supervisor is up, clerk is up, justice is up, 3 counselors are up, and the highway superintendent up. The justice and the highway superintendent are not Republicans, or not Democrats. They are Republicans. And those positions are up, and there is some opportunities for Democrats to run for office, especially for town justice and highway superintendent there. And of course, I believe 1 or 2 of the town councilors have decided not to run. So there may be some opportunities there. Elbridge, all Republicans, supervisor, clerk, 2 counselors, and the highway superintendent. Fabius, all Republicans, supervisor, clerk, justice, counselors, 2 counselors, and the highway superintendent. In Geddes, all Republicans, the supervisor, 2 town justices, and 3 counselors are up. Again, all Republicans. And Geddes is, again, like Camillus, and actually even better than Camillus, it has a Democratic plurality, and we should be doing better there. And I think there's opportunities here for Democrats who want to run for office. Lafayette, supervisor, justice, 2 counselors, and tax collector. All Republicans are up. In Lysander, the clerk, not the town supervisor, they're on a 4-year term. The clerk, the justice, 2 counselors, and a highway superintendent. All Republicans are up. In Manlius, the Democratic town of Manlius, the supervisor position is held by a Republican, and that is up. The clerk position is up. That is held by a non-enrolled person, so there's opportunities for Democrats there. Justice position is up. That is held by a Republican. There's an opportunity there. 3 counselors. All 2 of the 3 counselors are Democrats running for re-election, and there is 1 Republican, so there's an opportunity there. The highway superintendent is held by a non-enrolled. There's an opportunity there. And receiver of taxes held by non-enrolled. There's an opportunity there. So Manlius has been the Democratic story in the towns, flipping 2 years ago and performing incredibly well for Democratic candidates across the board over the last 2 years. Manlius is a growth town for Democrats, and definitely you're going to see some Democrats putting their name on the ballot there. In Marcellus, you have the supervisor up and 2 of the town councilors. One of them is Democrat in Marcellus. They're up for re-election. In Onondaga, all Republicans, and is supervisor, clerk, justice, 2 counselors, the highway superintendent, and the receiver of taxes is a Democrat, but she's not running again. So that is an open spot. Onondaga is the latest town to flip Democratic last year. They have a plurality Democrat, and they are growing and has performed pretty decently for us. Otisco, tough area for Democrats. All Republicans up: supervisor, clerk, 2 counselors, tax collector, and then 2 assessors of taxes. A lot of assessors of taxes in Otisco. In Pompey, you have the Democratic supervisor, Renee Rotundo, is up for election, and there are 2 counselors who are not Democrats that are up. Town of Pompey flipped Democrat 2 years ago, mainly because of a coup that was tried by the Republicans against the current slate, and that coup was so unpopular that many people in Pompey joined forces, Democrats and Republicans working together to put the supervisor Renee Rotundo in there, and as well as a Democratic town council that ran on the Democratic line. Not all of them are Democrats. In Skaneateles, we've had opportunities in Skaneateles, and we do have an elected official in Skaneateles now. Skaneateles is my hometown, by the way. That's where I graduated high school. Supervisor's up, clerk is up, 2 counselors, highway superintendent, and tax collector. And I say don't sleep on Skaneateles. Skaneateles in the past has done very well, crossing the party lines, and there are more and more Democrats enrolling in Skaneateles, more than you would imagine, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Spafford. The town of Spafford has had really good success in the past of getting Democrats elected to local office. The supervisor has gone back and forth. This year it's still a Republican. The clerk is Republican. 2 counselors, Christine Fesco and Hannah T. I believe they're both Democrats. Highway superintendent Jody Fisher won on the Democratic line 2 years ago and is a Democrat. And the tax collector Allison Barrett, who's a Republican. In Tully, the clerk is up, the justice is up, and 2 counselors are up. They're all Republicans. Tully seems like a tough place to win, but we have had some successes down there in the past, so hopefully we can do that. And my sleeper town pick, the town that I believe people are sleeping on, is Van Buren. You have a lot of races up: supervisor, justice, 3 counselors, and a highway superintendent. And if you look at the numbers in Van Buren, and we will look at the numbers in Van Buren coming up, you can see a town that is like Geddes, like Clay. They are moving our way, and in the past we just haven't put up candidates, so we have to put up candidates there. So those are the races that are up. Of course, in the fall, in the November races, we have the Village of Camillus has 2 trustees that are up. The Village of East Syracuse has the mayor who's up. These are nonpartisan offices, but the mayor, Robert Tackman, has announced that he's not running for re-election in East Syracuse. Justice, 2 trustees. In the Village of Salve, I believe the Village of Salve will be is a partisan village. It's rare to have a partisan village, especially one that runs in November. And we have huge, amount of news in Salve. The current mayor, Derek Bianchi, has been in Syracuse.com a lot with a lot of colorful language. The Democrats of Salve, I know, are putting up a campaign. I think Salve is going to be a village to watch. And then mayor of the Village of Tully is up, Melissa Flint Morgan. Aaron Goodfellow is up. Both of those are Democrats, although they don't run on Democratic lines and Republican lines for those villages. They're just registered Democrats. And Melissa Flint Morgan and Aaron Goodfellow are good trustees. So those are the villages that are up that the Board of Elections runs in November. Obviously, there are villages in March and in June that are running elections. We don't know what's going on with those because of COVID. Last year, those village elections were all moved to September. I think we could see that possibility happening this year as well. So how do you become a candidate for these offices? Well, first thing you should do is contact the Onondaga County Democratic Committee. They've recently ended their first initial phase of taking resumes and letters of intent. However, many of these offices may not have candidates yet. So if there's no candidates, they may accept your ability to get the party designation. Party designation is the first step towards getting on the ballot. When a party makes a designation, They say, this is the candidate we want to carry our banner. And then we do petitions in February and March. And the committee members for the Onondaga County Democratic Committee are supposed to walk petitions to get candidates on the ballot that are under our banner. But if somebody wanted to primary them, they could walk their own petitions, and that would set up a primary in June. And then after that primary in June, whoever wins that primary would be the Democratic candidate for the fall election and face off against a Republican if there's a Republican running. The city of Syracuse, every office in the city of Syracuse is a petition office. Every office in this town of Manlius is a petition office, which means that you have to walk petitions to get on the ballot, and if you want, you can have a primary. And all of the 17 county legislators that are up are petition officers. So that means those decisions are happening now. The other towns are all a mix of petitions and caucus. And why I say mix is because some of them might be changing. Because of COVID, they may be moving their petition period to the caucus calendar, which happens in May or June. We should know something about that this month, so we can kind of figure out what's going on. And I'll know more about that later this month, exactly which towns are caucuses and which towns are petitions. Most of them for Democrats are caucuses, which means that we will have caucus states in May or June that you can run for office, and we'll cover what a caucus is in a future episode of Commissioner in a Car. However, if you are interested in running for office in the city of Syracuse, in the county legislators, in the town of Manlius, and maybe the town of Spafford, they are in the town of Lysander was petitions, but they're thinking about moving back. If you're interested, you should be contacting those committees now and talking to them and seeing if there's openings, and if it's too late to be part of their interview process. The deadline was yesterday. However, if a slot is open and we're still looking for candidates, many times they will take those candidates in. Of course, you could always call the Board of Elections, and I can help you out with that there as well. So that is the races that are up for 2021, and I cannot finish this Commissioner Carr without my thoughts about Georgia. Today is the Georgia Senate runoff races, and these races are so incredibly important to our democracy, to Democrats across the nation, but also citizens across the nation. If you want any hope of further stimulus payments, if you want any hope of further help to local governments, it may lie with these elections down in Georgia. If Democrats win both elections, then they will take control of the United States Senate, and Joe Biden and our next president, and he will be our next president, and Kamala Harris will have a path to getting legislation through that has been blocked by one man, Mitch McConnell. So yes, the races in Georgia are up. I do not make predictions on races, but I believe they will be very close. And I believe we won't know who the winners are until tomorrow. But that won't stop me from staying up and watching the results, because, I'm a nerd. And so are most of you that are probably listening to this or watching this. So we're all nerds together. We'll be all watching it together. So, but hopefully we will see a surge of voting today. Turnout has been up for a runoff election. What that means, we don't know, but we'll have to see. So I hope that you will watch that election with me. I hope that some of those races that I told you about, you may be interested in running, and or know people who are interested in running, and it starts to percolate in your mind, because now is the time to start making those decisions. So thank you very much. And please remember, wear a mask, stay safe. The virus is out there. It is mutating. It is dangerous. And while the vaccines are coming, they're not coming as fast as we had hoped. So we are going to be through a very dark winter. So I pray that you will be safe, that you will protect your loved ones, and I will see you on Thursday where I will be checking in with my good friend Christine Wood, her first time on the Zoom with Zarni podcast. Public citizen. We'll be talking about the Georgia elections fallout, and we'll also be talking about what Public Citizen is hoping to do in the next Congress. They've been pushing a lot of big voting rights legislation, so happy to have her on. She's one of the best young activists in Syracuse, so please tune in for that podcast on Thursday. On Sunday, I'll be talking to my good friend Tom Keck again, and we'll be doing a Zoom with Zarni, and by then we should know what's going on with Georgia, and we'll really kind of see what the new Congress does in terms of the Supreme Court. And finally, on Wednesday, tomorrow, I'll be releasing a Wonky Wednesday with taking a look at how Onondaga County looks now at post-election, and what how we did in registrations last year, and what our registration looks like in Onondaga County, even though no candidate runs Onondaga County wide next year so far. We could always have a retirement or a vacancy, but so far, no candidate runs countywide. David said, what's my opinion of Trump's perfect call to the Georgia Secretary of State? It was not a perfect call. It was quite possibly criminal. It was disturbing. I did listen to it. I listened to the full hour. That was also disturbing. To hear a person who is supposedly the most powerful man in the United States beg and plead for someone to break the law so they can hold on to a position that they've rightfully lost. And that's what it comes down to. Joe Biden won the presidential election. He won it by landslide, but even if he won it by one vote, it doesn't matter. He won it. He will be the president. And what's going to go on tomorrow with the January 6th vote, at the end of the day, Joe Biden will be seated and he will be president. And all these people that are standing in the way of that should look to what Al Gore did in 2000, when he had a really disputed election, 400, 500 votes, something ridiculously close in the entire state of Florida. He had the popular vote lead. He could have thrown a monkey wrench into this and tried to play games with our politics. He did not. George H.W. Bush and Dan Quayle did not do this in 1992 when they lost an election to Bill Clinton, even though they felt that Ross Perot siphoned off enough votes to win, that they should have rightfully won. They did not. They congratulated Clinton, they congratulated Bush, and they allowed them to be president. And what's going on now with the with Donald Trump is unprecedented. And Judith Jerome, when you asked me if the perfect call presents a precedent, which is a threat to our democracy, I think it's a threat to our democracy. I don't think it's a precedent. It only becomes a precedent if it works, and I don't think it will. And it only becomes a precedent if we ignore it, and I don't think that will happen either. I do think that there is a opportunity for criminal and inquiries into this, and I do think that is something that needs to be looked into. So I hope they do that, because no election official, and I'm not a fan of the Georgia election officials, they have stood up to Donald Trump, and they did that, and I thank them for that. But they've also not stood up for the voters of Georgia. They have reduced early voting centers. They have said that in their next session they're going to reduce absentee ballot voting, and these are Brad Raffinger and Governor Kent. They are saying this, so it's not somebody else. So they're not heroes. They're doing their job, and I thank them for doing their job, but they could do better too. So I'm not going to idolize them, but I will say this: I am glad that they are standing up to Donald Trump. I'm glad they're standing up for the results of the election they just ran. And I hope they will do so for this election that is happening today. And I hope that we will see a clear victory by the end of tomorrow. And we can kind of know what the next Congress is going to do. All right, that's it for me. Thank you very much. And I hope to see you on the social media and web. Wear a mask. Stay safe. Bye-bye.